Well, next week is another race. It's Saturday, May 3rd, and there's a race on the 10th. I gotta check these valves because this car has got a lot of passes on it. And there's a lot of cam in this motor. And so you got to stay on top of the valve train. A lot of valve spring pressure too. So I got to make sure that we don't have any issues. Anyway, I have this little thing snuck in so I can crank the engine to run the valves. And it is connected to a solenoid inside the car on the floor. I actually have the solenoid mounted remotely. And since I just added this vacuum pump, I have not run the valves yet with the pump attached. It's just the hose, really. So we'll see if we can just kind of swing the valve cover out of the way, or if we're going to end up having to undo that giant hose. But maybe we can just swing this guy over there and get to the valves. Let's see what's going on here. Anyway, let's get to checking. So let's go over some things. So the first thing I look for when I'm checking to see what's going on in the valve train is these are magnets that I epoxied into the heads. There's 4 of them. And if there's a piece of valve spring coil or anything broken off, you'll see that. A lot of times it'll be stuck on the magnet. So that's a good sign. There's nothing going on there. Another thing, you might notice this looks a little crude, and there is so much homemade stuff on this engine, it's ridiculous. In fact, I'm going to get into that. These are basically stud girdles underneath the rocker arms. So since this is a shaft mounted rocker arm, I welded the stands, the rocker stand itself, instead of just having one big bolt holding it to the head. The bolt is under the rocker arm. The first thing I did is I put the longest bolt I could possibly put in for the most thread engagement. And then I used steel bars, little bars that I made, and I welded the rocker stand to this rocker stand, and this rocker stand to this one, and so on. So all these rocker stands. So if I took out the 8 bolts holding all these rocker stands down, this whole girdle would come off as one piece. The entire rocker stand base for all of the rocker arms would come off in one piece. And what this does is, let's get a good example. So this one's on the valve spring right now, a lot of pressure on this rocker arm, but it's not only being held by its own bolt, it's being held by this one, which is in a neutral position right now. Well, actually, that one's the one we're talking about. Both of these kind of are on the spring right now. But this one's not, and it's tied to it. And this one's not, and it's tied to that. And so the ones that are getting worked are using the strength of the ones that aren't getting worked via the tie bar. It makes it way stronger, especially these very end ones. If you're ever going to pull one of these rocker stands out of the head, it's almost always one of the end ones. And so having these 2 welded together makes it so you got the strength of 2 rocker stands kind of holding each one. So that's that. The other thing that I did is everybody runs a restrictor. The 2 rear cam plugs in the block, you can buy these things that screw in there, and they restrict the oil flow up to, well, they restrict it to the lifters, which restricts it up to the top of the heads via the push rod. And it's just so you don't flood the top end with oil, but it's also very hard on the valve springs because it's a triple spring. They rub against each other and they generate a lot of friction. And that friction is a lot of what wears them out and kills the spring pressure. So this line right here, this is a dry sump line. And what I did is I took the restrictors out of the block, so it's got full oil flow to the lifter galleys, which means it has full oil flow to the top of the head through the push rods. And I epoxied, so if you took the manifold off, the block is epoxied completely shut, so there's no oil return under the manifold. Any oil that drains back through the head cannot get down into the oil pan. The only way that oil can get out is through this dry sump line. This is a suction line, and it's plumbed in right next to the distributor. So I have full oil flow to the top, to the valve springs. Then I bought, these are T&D rockers, and these do not have an open hole at the top. The oil does not spray out of here. The top of this adjuster is closed. And so what T&D did, it's like kind of like a banjo style where there's a passage internally in the rocker arm, and then they drilled a hole so the oil actually shoots out from underneath. So it comes up the push rod, goes through the rocker arm, and shoots right on the side of the valve spring. So not only do I not have my oil restricted, I have these rocker arms that shoot the oil right on the valve springs to cool them. And the third thing I did is that everyone used to install these at about 1'9", which I never understood. So I bought all new valves and way longer and installed everything at 2" 200. So you're a lot further away from coil bind. This cam has right at 900 lift. And between the improved oiling, the taller installed height, and just running everything cooler because of all the extra oil flow to the springs, instead of getting maybe 10 passes out of a set of springs, these are going 80 to 100 passes before they have to be replaced. Another thing to keep in mind, and again, keep in mind, this is 25-year-old technology here. So it was pretty cutting edge for its day. The valves are adjusted pretty tight cold, like around 10, maybe even a little tighter than that. And the reason is because the heads grow so much that when the engine's at like 170 degrees, you're at 26-ish, 28-ish on the valve lash. And so if you lash these things cold at 25, say, the gap would be so big, the lash would be so big, you'd probably lose your lash caps. So, yeah, the heads grow a lot. The other thing, and I realize there's modern engines that are way higher revving than this thing, but when you got push rods that are 10 inches long, and you're not only revving an engine to 9,000 RPM, but you're making power there, there's so much tech that has to go into this thing to make that happen. The push rods are from Smith Brothers. They are 7/16. They taper out to 1/2 inch, and then they have to taper back to 7/16 to clear the head where they come through the hole. And the other thing that I did is I switched and started using Schaefer's oil. There's so much spring pressure. There's over 400 on the seats. And if you started this thing up cold without priming the dry sump pump first, it would just smoke the ends off the push rods. You would have, it would turn them blue. Now, this is not blue. It's just tapered right at the very end, and that's the machining on the push rod. So it's not discolored at all from heat. And that's one of the other things that I look for, is to see if the push rods are getting smoked, and they are not at all. And so because there's so much spring pressure on the seats, I not only check the valve lash to make sure there's no excessive gap, because if there's excessive lash, then you got something going away in the valve train. You're either losing the roller on a lifter, or one of your rocker stands is pulling out of the head, or you've smoked the end off of one of your push rods. But the other can happen too, where the valve actually gets too tight. And the reason that happens is because the valve itself is starting to stretch and go away. And I have had the heads, I've never had an exhaust valve break yet, but I have had the head of an intake valve break off, and it's pretty devastating. I got lucky when that happened. It turned the head of the valve sideways and just stuffed it right back up into the port and did very minimal damage. In fact, I probably could have reused the piston even, but got really lucky. Just repaired the head, put a new seat in it, and replaced the valves and got away with it. But yeah, the other thing you got to check for is that the valves are not getting too tight, because that means your valves themselves are starting to stretch. And these are all titanium, intake and exhaust.